Yep. Good evening, everyone. So, last session we learnt all about procedures and all joins. Now, one more is there. You need to understand just the last one in MySQL. You need to know about MySQL triggers. A simple point about MySQL triggers. So, what is the concept of trigger and how these will work? Actually, trigger is a uh, trigger is a database object. So it is a database object. So which is used to execute a block of code. Execute, or we can say trigger a block of code. It is a database object which can execute a block of code whenever specific action is performed on database table. Whenever specific action is performed on database table. So generally a stored procedure is manually called. Stored procedure also contains some statements. The statements will execute whenever you call. But what is the point about trigger is it will be implicitly called. That means you are not calling manually. It will internally call automatically for every particular action. Suppose what is difference between procedure and a trigger? Both are set of statements which executes. Then what is difference? Procedure is executed manually and trigger executes implicitly. Internally, it will run automatically, it will execute and perform any specific action. So triggers usually trigger executes implicitly for various actions in data table. It executes implicitly for various actions in data table. Trigger has trigger has events. Trigger has events like we have insert, update, and delete. Trigger have is it is has it has events like insert, update, and delete. Insert, update, and delete. Trigger has timings like before and after. So it has timing like before and after. Before and after. So that means generally before inserting, we need to verify the data that is inserted. That means we can create a validation trigger. What that validation trigger will do, it will verify whether the data entered is valid or not. If it is valid, then it will insert. That means before indicates that before it perform the action operation, it will do certain functionality. Mostly we use validations for that. After means confirmation. After inserting, after updating, after deleting, you want certain actions to perform. Then you can define the timing as after. So we can have before or we can have after. So what is insert means? That means some new record has inserted. So it is added into the table. Any record modified or any record deleted. So triggers are used for handling different events and timing, right? So what does it means actually? Uh, Trigger events, that means insert defines insert defines adding of defines adding of a new record, adding of a new record into table. Update, it defines changes in any field of a record in table. Delete defines removing of any record from table. So before specifies that trigger executes before the event. Same after specifies that trigger executes after the event. So that is insert, update, delete, before, after. So generally, how the syntax will be like delimiter, we will have a delimiter and we have create trigger and we have a trigger name. Create trigger name. And it will have timing after that event on table name. So for each row on table, for each row, we have to begin and delimiter. So here you need to define actions to be performed by trigger. Define actions to be performed by trigger. Right. So that is the delimiter. So we need to create a trigger name. Timing means before or after. Event means insert, update, delete. And on which table for each row. Verify every row. What you want to do. We need to define. So for example, let's see here. So we have MySQL. Yep. Now in this, we will add one table here. Suppose I will remove this TBL products drop table. Okay. Here we are creating a table. We are designing one table. So we are creating one table. Let's do. So cannot drop table because it is having some. Okay, fine. I will create a table because it is may having a foreign key na. So create table. Table name is some prods. Prod, products. Prods is the table. Products uh, data. Yeah. Products data. That is the table name. And in this, what we need? So we need a ID. I will use tiny int primary key and auto generated auto increment. We have a some name varchar and 20 price some decimal and 82. Okay, we will add two more fields created at, and it is actually date time. I will say time. It is a time or date time. Date time we are defining and modified at. So modified at this is also date time. When it is created, when it is modified, that information also I want to store something. So what we do, products data, and I'll just keep everything in lowercase. So name and price. Okay. Let's execute this. Table is created. Now we will create a trigger for this table. Whenever any record is inserted, I need to capture the time when it is created. and I need to store that in the database so that I can know when it is created, when it is modified. If anybody modifies my data, I should know when it is modified. Time also should be there. So whenever any insert or whenever any update happens, I want the time to be captured and stored so that I can check when they modified it, when they inserted it. So how to do this? Means I want a trigger to automatically execute because you will insert only name and price. ID is auto generated and created at modified at will be stored automatically by our trigger. Our trigger will execute, it will get the current time and it will update the current time into those fields. When it is modified, when it is created, we will show. Okay, let's see how to do that. We need to create one trigger. So how to create the trigger? So I will add a new file, new query. Okay, so we need to use delimiter and dollar. Okay, and here we need what? Create trigger and trigger name. So that means this is uh, create trigger. I'll just give create trigger, create product trigger. That means whenever a new or insert product trigger, insert product trigger is the trigger name. So what is the condition here? First, we need to define the timing. Timing is nothing but what we have to do. So after inserting or before inserting. So we are using what is it? After. What is the operation? Insert. After insert. What insert on which table? After insert on which table? So we have a new table called products data. Products, what is it? Data. So on products data for each row. Am I right? For each row, we need what is it? Begin. So for each row, we need to begin and we need to end. And we need this expression. We have a delimiter semicolon. Now what I should do? So that means you are creating a trigger called insert product trigger. What this trigger need to do is it should verify every row. Check any new row is being inserted. We have command insert event now. If any new row is inserted, it should set the timing created at. We have a field called, what is the field? Created at. Into the field, we need to store the current date and time. That means how do we do? Here, what we have to do is we need to set, we need to access the field. We have to access the field called created at. Any field of a table is accessed in the trigger by using new dot. What is the field name? Field name is what? Created at. Any table field is accessed by using new inside the trigger. So one more important point here we need to know. Yeah. So the table fields are accessed inside trigger. The table fields are accessed inside trigger by using new operator. The table fields are accessed inside trigger by using new operator. So we have to just begin and end. So here we need to use new and field name. So that is the option. So that is one point. And if you are using uh, any validations or all, you can put some validation messages. We can set some messages and all. Anyhow, this is simple now. What we do, created at is equal to what we have to store inside it. We have to store now. Now we will get the current date and time now. Already we learned the date functions in MySQL. It will get that and it will display. So we are creating a trigger called insert product trigger. And what this trigger is, it is going to execute after you insert. It will get the field, what is it, created at, into that it will store the time when it is created. I will run this trigger. Trigger have problem. Updating a new row is not allowed. I given after, before. So before, fine. Because after inserting, we cannot add data into this. Data is added where before. Okay. Before inserting the data into this, we are getting the current time and storing the current time. Then trigger is ready. Now what to do? Let's insert some data into the table. Let's go and select rows. Currently data is empty now. So let's insert through command. I will insert through command. Insert into, what is it? Products data. What we need to insert, name, price. Only these two I am giving. Values, I am adding name TV. Another one, price. I am defining some price. That's the data we need to add. Created at, modified at, we are not mentioning. We are mentioning only these details here. And insert. That means it is inserted. After inserting, we will select. And when we select, it is going to store the time. That means a trigger is automatically executed after executing the trigger, and it is storing the time when that product is created. I will add one more product into this. Let's go to this and add one more product. This is some mobile, and here we are giving some product. Okay. Now what we are doing, execute this. Now one more record is added, and when you select, you can see the second record is inserted in a different time. That means date is same, but the time is 21:41. It inserted there. Okay, let's create a record modified also. How do we write the modifications? That means we will write one trigger for updating. When it is updated also, I need to know, right? Okay, let's go into the trigger. So first I will copy this. One simple example I will give to you. Example. Right. So first what you do is create a new database table. So create table, some name products data. Tiny int, primary key, auto increment. Name varchar, price, decimal. Created at date time. Modified at date time. Second, add a new trigger for capturing created date and time for every record when inserted into table. That's the trigger. So after updating, deleting, you can do so many things. Right. Right. So this is one option. You can add so many. For example, so now what you do? So try inserting a new record. Right. So here you can do one more. You can use signal SQL state 45,000. So to enable custom custom errors and display while updating or deleting, while updating, inserting, deleting, and deleting. Signal SQL state 45,000 is an error code number, just like 404, 200 error codes are present. In MySQL, we have a error code called 45,000, which indicates that you put your own error message. By default, some error message will come. We can put our own error message. Mostly this is used for validation. Suppose what is our requirement is before inserting any record, we need to verify. That means I need to verify. For example, see here one small query I will give. So this is create a trigger to verify price and make sure that it will not insert a negative value. It will not insert a negative value. For that, we need to create one trigger. We need to create a trigger. It will verify price and make sure that it will not insert a negative value. How you will verify that? What will be the your query? Create trigger, validate product trigger, some name before insert on the table for each row. It should begin and verify. How to verify? We learned conditions now in a stored procedure or in a general query how to write a if condition. If condition, then statements. We need to configure the statement. What is the statement here is? Here condition is if new dot price. New dot price means why new dot price we have to access the price. If new dot price is less than, if less than 0. If less than 0, then we will set a signal message saying that 45,000. That means you put your own error message and we need to set the message. What is the set message? We need to tell that set new message. We need to tell that product price must be greater than 0. So how do we write the trigger now for this is, so it's a validation trigger. How do we verify that? So here we will see delimiter $, and here create trigger, trigger name, validate product price. That is the trigger name. And what is the timing before insert? We can use insert, update, anything. Before insert on, what is the table name? Products data. Products data for each row. You need to begin and end. and delimited. Here we need to check the condition. How we write the conditions? If na, what is it? New dot what price is less than or equal to 0. If new price is less than or equal to 0. If requires then na, if and then. Am I right? I given a if statement how to write in MySQL. Then what should happen? So it should put a message, error message. What is that? It should signal. Signal, what is it? SQL state. SQL state as how much number? 45,000 is an custom error. It is saying that don't show any default error, put some custom error. And how do we set the error? Is set new message is equal to what is the message? Price must be above 0. That's the value we are giving. So this is the query we are defining. And if should with end with end na? If should end with end. We need to write the query. So here, so one simple note I will give. Signal is to indicate SQL language, is to indicate SQL language. SQL state is to access and verify the current state. And 45,000 is error code number, which is used for custom errors. Custom errors. It is recommended to do that. Custom errors. We need to define custom errors. So here, one more is new message, or in the new version is message text. For displaying error message. For displaying error message. So what happens when they are trying to insert any price which is less than 0, negative value or something, then obviously it will immediately show some error. Similarly, you can write another for update also. That means I will just give a query. You try that. So create a trigger to capture the update time for every record when updated. capture the update time for every record when updated. Write and show me, just simple. The previous example is there, same. You write this. If you are writing condition here, condition, you written condition, it should be end if, not end, and if end. So because to end cannot be there. End if and begin in the previous one. Already previous is there, huh? Modify. What is this modify? First timing. After that event. And event is which event? Update event, not modify, huh? Hmm. Before update. Hmm. You don't need if condition. Uh, Same already previous there. Same thing. Okay, these are all important triggers. You can try delete also, right? After deleting, when it is deleted. So you can define some message before deleting. Are you sure you want to delete such confirmation? It is deleted confirmation. These are technically about trigger, how we can configure and use the trigger. And to watch the triggers available, that means how to see the triggers. So you can see all triggers of a database by using show triggers. We can just use show triggers. And you can remove trigger by using drop. drop trigger and trigger name to view the triggers and drop. Right. So in different databases, if you want triggers of specific database, you just mention the database name. Otherwise, all database triggers will come. That means we need to just run the command here, show triggers. It is going to get all the triggers and display. You see all the triggers, so many are there. The triggers we created, some other triggers are there. It is showing those triggers. So we can handle the triggers. We can remove the triggers. We can manage the triggers. How to remove the trigger? We have to use which command? Drop. And we have a trigger and trigger name. Trigger name is what? Insert product trigger anything. So these are the options for managing the triggers. You try all this. Now this is enough for MySQL concepts for backend, right? So we completed two databases in our backend. One is MongoDB, another one MySQL. Actually, you should be perfect up to CRUD operation. MongoDB creating insert, update, delete. MySQL create, update. These are enough. So now after this, we are going to go into, I already told you, our course is not about complete MySQL and all, right? What is needed for our full stack, that is the points we discussed. Now we will go into the major, another concept. We are going to learn about Node.js. We are going to start understanding with Node.js. So Node.js. Actually, what is this Node.js and why we need Node.js? What is the concept? Generally, in full stack development, till now you saw front end and in backend you saw database. So server side also we will have scripting. We need server side scripting technologies. What is the role of server side scripting technologies is they handle the request from the client and generate a customized response according to client request and send that customized response to the client. So server side, we need a script that can handle request from the client. It can process that request, generate a customized response according to his request, and send that response back to the client. So this server side script can interact with database. It can directly do some business actions. It's not necessary that every server side script have to communicate with database. Not necessary. There are so many other server side interactions we do. So there are so many server side scripting technologies. The first server side scripting technology is CGI. CGI is a server side scripting technology which is designed by using C language. C programming language is used for writing server side scripts. Server side scripts. JSP, PHP, ASP, this all comes under that category. Node.js also can do. Node.js have so many things in that it can provide server side scripts. Node.js can do so many things. Technically, I told you in the beginning, first, when we started created a project, I explained you that Node.js is a JavaScript runtime. It allows you to create web applications. It allows you to create servers. We can create servers. It will allow to create command line tools. We can design CLI command line tools. It allows you to write server side scripts. Currently, we are learning Node.js for two purposes. One is for creating servers and writing server side scripts. That is the purpose. We are not building a web app because by the knowledge of what you learned, you will build a web application. We will see that. And we are not building command line tools. Command line tools designing means just like a terminal or a PowerShell, you can create your own command line tools by using Node.js. Our job is three. We can create servers, we can create server side scripts, and we can create a web application by using what? Node.js. That is our job. So, what is server side application? What is the purpose of server side application? To understand Node.js, first you need to know that. First, we will see the definition. What is Node.js? So, Node.js is a free open source and cross platform JavaScript runtime. So, used by developers to build web applications, servers, command line tools, and scripts. This all Node.js can do. It is a free open source cross-platform JavaScript runtime. Free means it is licensed free. You don't need to buy. Open source means it allows you to customize according to your requirements. Cross platform means it can run on every operating system. So it is a JavaScript based server side technology, JavaScript based runtime technology. So it is used by developers for building applications, web applications, servers, command line tools, and all. Actually, what is the purpose of web application? We know it can run on HTTP and HTTP. Yes, they can manage the request and process that request. Server's purpose is servers are required for hosting our apps. For example, what you done, you created a project, you install live server. Na? What is that live server? Is somebody built a server, you are using it. That's the reason it is running on 5500. You can build your own server. You can create your own server. You can host application on that server and you can run application on that server. That's what we learn here. That means we can build our own servers and command line tools for handling interactions with applications through commands, just like MongoDB shell, right? Your terminal, all these are command line tools. Scripts means just now I told you server side scripts which will generate a response for the request. So we have so many things that Node.js can do. Actually, web application. So web application runs on internet by following the standards and principles of web. By following the standards and principles of web. And web application is huge. What does it does? I will tell you detail later. So server is responsible for hosting application. Server is responsible for hosting applications. Not only hosting, it is responsible for request response and everything. First basic point I will tell you. Command line tools can allow to control any application with commands in a CLI, command line interface, in a CLI, command line interface. So that is actually command line interface. Scripts are hosted on server to generate a customized response for every client request. Scripts are hosted on server to generate a customized response for every client request. So there are various server-side scripting technologies like, so we have CGI, ASP, JSP, PHP, Node.js, all these are. Node.js comes under so many categories. It comes under server-side scripts. It comes under a server category. CGI is the first server-side scripting technology. ASP, JSP, PHP, ASPX. So there are so many. And different technologies use different server-side technologies. That means all applications use different technologies depending on the requirement. For example, you see websites like, suppose you know a website like Passport. This is Passport. So this is Passport website, and we are opening some apply for passport or something like. And you see, they are not. You have so many services and options. And when I select, this is a PDF. Actually, here they are using some modern technologies which will hide the URL. You are not clear. It is unable to see what technology they are using. but some possible. For example, IRCT is there. So in IRCTC, are they showing? No, they are also hiding. They are using JSP, Java Server Pages. JSP is a server side technology they are using to handle the request and response. So they are using JSP. For example, some use PHP. Suppose we have W3 schools. You see these people, when I say something HT, they are using ASP, active server pages. That is a server side technology. Some government websites, some Telangana transport something. You can see they are using ASPX. This is .NET, ASP.NET, ASPX. It's not possible to know the technologies these days. These days means we hide the URLs. We will implement routing techniques. We will make them simplified so that they can't see the extensions anymore. But still, we can understand, we can see. Now, the question is we have Java, we have PHP, we have ASP, we have different server side technologies. Now, the question is then what are, why Node.js? What is its specialty? Where it will fit, where it cannot fit? What are the features and what are the issues? Usually, any application uses the technology according to the requirements, means their requirements according to the features they use. What are the features actually? That means what are the features of Node.js? The primary main features of Node.js. What is the main concept about Node.js? So, how Node.js is important and why it is important and how it is different from other technologies, means how we compare with other technologies, where it will fit, where it will not fit. These are important. Actually, what is the major technical point about Node.js is, so it is single threaded. It is single threaded. That is one major point about Node.js. It is single threaded. Usually, many technologies are multi-threaded, but it is a single-threaded. So one famous about single-threaded Node.js is single-threaded. Single-threaded have some issues also. It will not fit everywhere. So what is multi-threaded and what is single-threaded? Just one outline I will explain here. See, suppose means just a rough point here. So we are having some server, just roughly. We have a server or computer database, something. Okay. So we are having some computer like, so let's put a rough one normally like this. This is actually one server. And on this server, we have resources. We have some resources on server. We have a server and we have some resources on server. Now we have clients. That means we have some clients. Multiple clients are present. So we have clients. Now all these clients wants to access the resource. That means they want to access the resource from the server. Then usually what happens is when the client one makes a request. So when the client one makes a request here, so that means first client makes a request for that resource. Then what it will do is it is going to create, it is going to create one object. It's going to create one object. And through that object, so it is going to communicate with the resource. Through that object, it is going to communicate with the resource. Through that object, it will communicate with the resource. Now, what happens is every client wants the same resource. Then what it is going to do is it is going to create a copy of this object. For every client, it will create a copy of that object. And through that copy, it will provide access to the resource. That means for every client, an object is created, and through that object, they can access the resource. Understood? That means through that object, they can access the resource. That means every client can access the resource, and but every client needs an object. For every client, an object is created. This is called this is called multi-threaded. We call this multi-threaded. That means several objects are created, and through those objects, you can access the resource. This will be heavy on applications, very heavy on applications. But it is good if they are expecting some interactions on the resource. We are expecting some interactions on the resource. We do a lot of interactions on the resource. Then this is good. For every client, an object is created and it is providing access. So this is multi-threaded. So what is the point about single-threaded? The point about single-threaded here is, it is nothing but, what is the concept about single-threaded? Only one object is used for everyone. Only one object is used for everyone. And the same object is used for all of them. This one object can provide access to the resource. All people will communicate through this object. This is single threaded. That is single threaded. That is single threaded. That means all will communicate with one object. That means memory is better. Creating millions of objects and creating an object to handle millions of people, it is different. Majority of OTT channels that you are currently watching, they are using Node.js. All OTT channels, including YouTube, they use Node.js. So actually, what you are doing with the video, millions of people are watching a video on Netflix. What they are doing with that video? Nothing, just watching. They can play from any location. They can turn on and off the subtitles. There are no many interactions. There are no many interactions. Just play, pause, stop. Am I right? There are no many interactions. Then this technique is good for them. Now, if the same technique we follow for something like Amazon, suppose Amazon, Flipkart like applications are there, millions of people are using, but millions of people are not just watching, they are interacting. They are searching, they are paying, they are buying that, they are adding to cart, they are doing so a lot of interactions. Then in that case, this is not a great one. It will work, but it's not a great one. So Node.js is not very great for the applications which need millions of users of database which deal with interactions with the content. If there is few interactions with the content, then that is better. That is the advantage of single threaded. Single threaded. So all OTT channels, majority 99, 100%, you can say everywhere they use what? Node.js. Even YouTube is built with Node.js. YouTube is built with Node.js. It is completely built by using Node.js. So, what is one key feature about Node.js is it is single threaded, right? I just explained only a point about single threaded. There are so many things to understand. Just basic I given here. Once you work, you will see how it works, right? There are so many more features that we'll see tomorrow. Right, in tomorrow's session, we will discuss all other features and we will start working with Node.js practically. Right, tomorrow we'll continue with that. Okay, right.